Welcome everybody this week to the Damage Per Second podcast. It's week 88 or 9 or one of the. We're at the end of the 80s. I'm here with my co-host to the co-most, Brett.
Hey, I'm me.
It's Brett. He's the only co-host. He's always been the only co-host, and it's been an elaborate prank. There's never been a Keith. It's always been Brett, and he's just putting on a different voice.
It might have to do with my exquisite Keith impersonation.
Keith is still on his honeymoon. And he's in Hawaii, so wish him well.
Oh, wait, they're on their honeymoon right now? I didn't even know that.
Yes, they're on their honeymoon.
I should have wished him well.
We were texting earlier, and Keith's like, "Oh man, I wish I would have been able to join, but you know, it's the time change." It's like, Keith, you're on your honeymoon. Don't join. Don't come on the podcast.
Who cares?
Get out of here.
Get out of here.
So how's your week been? It's been 2 weeks. We've been skipping some weeks lately, just due to this, a little this and a little that, you know?
A little bit of this, a little bit of that. I've definitely had a little bit of this in there. I don't know about that, but I've pretty much only just been playing Mario lately. It's everywhere I go, you know? I kind of just carry my Switch in my backpack, which I bring everywhere. And so I'm just always ready to collect more and more moons. And, you know, it doesn't seem like there's any shortage.
More and more moons.
Oh, yeah. I think there's like 650 total to collect. And then when you get like to 999, which you can buy your way to with like in-game coins, not real money. I'm sure we'll get to that later. You unlock some sort of special cute thing. So I don't know. I don't think I'll get that far, but I've really been enjoying my time with it post game. I can't remember if we talked about it after I beat it, after the fact, or I don't know if you remember.
You talked about it some. I don't think that you were anywhere close. I wasn't sure. I don't think you commented on you had completed the game yet or not.
Yeah. So like, I completed the game, and it's like pretty standard of that sort of like Super Mario experience where you have to just collect a certain number of moons on each level, and then it lets you go to the next one, and blah blah blah. And you know, collecting as many moons as you need is probably about like 20% of the total number of them available, which is pretty cool. It like really doesn't take a whole lot of effort to just work your way through the level, and you don't really have to be like grinding or anything crazy. So it made it just a pretty fun and like streamlined experience. But after the fact, it like the game, as most Marios do when you beat them, like really opens up. They add like they basically double the amount of moons for every level available, and there's a whole bunch of them. And most of those, well, I shouldn't say most, but like a large number of them bring you to like special kind of sanctioned off like special levels that are way harder than the original levels too. So I mean, I'm just happy to see the difficulty is still there, because it definitely wasn't too hard to get through like the base game, but it's still Mario as hell. It's really well made. It's a lot of fun to play.
Nice. And
like there's so much to explore in all of those different levels. I haven't even like visited all of them since I've beaten the game, because there's something special you have to do in order to like unlock the extra moons that they make available to you. But
like, it was similar to Green Stars from Galaxy 2, or is it?
Well, I mean, it's not really a spoiler. Basically, you just come across these giant metal squares when you're playing through the game, and once you beat the game, you unlock the ability to break the squares, and those like put a bunch of moons out there. So there's like a big checklist, and so it adds it to that too. Not really like confusing or anything, but it's just so fun. Nintendo knows how to make a fun-ass game.
I know. It's just their business practices are bizarre, but they make their development teams make some of the best shit.
I know. It's crazy.
Who's the guy who directed that game? I mean, he's made a lot of the what's his name? But he's like made some of the best games recently, like Nintendo games. I think he was involved in both of the Galaxies as well. And was maybe tangentially related to Breath of the Wild. I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to look it up. I don't have my facts straight here, but
yeah, I'll look it up real quick. But so have you thought any more about getting on that Switch train?
It's very similar. I don't want to change topics here too quickly. We'll get to the EA stuff later, of course, but it's similar to my thoughts on Battlefront 2, and it's more like I don't know, saving $60 always seems more appealing to me than, like, I'm basically, the bottom line is I'm fine missing out on a game to save money, and it's not just $60, it's like $300, and I don't know, it's just like, where do I draw the line, though? I already bought a gaming PC and all that stuff, so it's like I'm willing to spend money on that. I don't know. But it's like I'm right on the cusp of wanting to do it, but I always talk myself out of it. I'm like, it's fine. Like, I don't know, you know, maybe I'll just play it in a couple years when, that's right, a couple years, when it just becomes very, very cheap to get in some fashion. Yeah. And until then, I will just live vicariously through you. But I've never been the person who's had to play something on release. I've never, like, even StarCraft, I played because I already had the means to play it, and I was recording it for my channel, and but like, I could have waited. It wasn't super important to me that I play really anything on release.
Yeah.
But then again, I don't regret playing Breath of the Wild on release.
Yeah, no, that's a blessing, because, I mean, I think it's a lot harder to live with the fact that you can't live with playing games except for on release, because, you know, I have a lot less money and a lot more free time. I don't know. It's not a bad thing that you're waiting. I just, you know, the wait will be good. It'll make it that much sweeter, you know?
Oh, yeah.
If you finally do play it. Although, I don't know. I would go crazy because I'd just hear all these great reviews and I'd work myself up too much. I don't know how you do with that.
I think
do you tell me if it's salmon well, or?
Well, I mean, if I didn't do well with it, I would have bought it, I suppose. I think that's the thing, is that gnaws away, then that's your incentive to purchase it. And, like, I've watched reviews and I've watched playthroughs on YouTube of different games, and I'm like, I'm going to buy this. But it's usually been something that's been out and isn't hugely expensive. Like, I bought Darkest Dungeon after I watched someone play it for a while, and then I was like, man, I really want this game. But I never would have bought it of my own volition. So I definitely fall victim to that, but if it's brand new, like, there's a dollar amount that I can't really quantify, to be honest, but just, like, all I can say is, like, $360 plus tax is too high. It's past whatever threshold I've arbitrarily set.
Yeah, that's a large asking price. Like, if you hadn't played Breath of the Wild either, I feel like the decision would be much easier.
Yes, I agree. I definitely would get the
that's just hundreds of hours. Like, you'd definitely get your money out of it, but...
Oh, yeah. 100%. I would definitely play Breath, but I don't know. It's just for the one game. And the thing about Odyssey, and really all the Mario games, is in the past... There's not really, like, spoilers or anything. It's always going to be fun to play, really, regardless of when you play it. So that helps a lot. It's not going to be... It's not like a multiplayer experience that's going to run dry in a year, and then you know, if you missed out on the train, you can't play it. Like, most Nintendo games you can pick up at any time. And, you know, it's not like a Dark Souls game, and it's not like Breath of the Wild either, where it's like there was a lot of community fact-finding in the first couple weeks. Like, I assume in Odyssey, it's a platformer, but it's not like, I'm going to be looking up all the secrets online. You know, I don't know how to beat this thing, so I'm going to look it up. I imagine it's not like that, but I don't know.
I think, like, yes and no. It's like a little more puzzle platformer oriented, in that, like, things are kind of hidden in plain sight. You just have to be more inquisitive, and there's definitely some riddles too. So there's a type of person that's going to be looking up where to get everything.
Got it.
But, you know, if I told you where this one moon on this level is, like, is that really going to spoil your experience when there's 649 other ones? Like,
exactly. There's just so much to it. Like, and I feel like it's different from Breath of the Wild as well. Like, Breath of the Wild, the first time you just, like, there's Mount Lanayru, I'm going to climb it. You get to the top, and there's a dragon, and it flies away, and you have to float down the mountain and shoot at it. That was incredible to me. It was like a black dragon that you had to cleanse. That was so sweet. But then... I just can't imagine, like, oh, I have to find a moon, and I just can't quite nail down where it is. You have to ground pound in this location. Like, that doesn't have the same magic to it as discovering stuff in an adventure game. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, it's a lot more about, like, being able to pull off really sick moves to, like, get from something that's really far away, you know? They've made the platforming a lot more skill-based with the Cappy mechanics. I don't know if you've paid attention at all to, like,
I've seen some of the stuff Mario you can do. Yeah,
it's pretty cool. And if you watch a speedrun, you'd get a really good feel for, like, how intense the movement can get. It's pretty awesome, and the game is totally skill based for these speedrunners too, which has been a lot of fun too to watch.
Yeah, Mario
I think the
64 is
best
still
kinds
one of those speedrunning games that people are like constantly trying to perfect because it's so mechanically challenging. It's not just about finding the right route. You have to execute it just dead on, which I don't know, is a lot different for different games, but they've always been mechanically challenging. So I'm excited to see what people come up with for that game.
Hell yeah. I know, it's already like down to the wire on some 1 hour and 10 minutes or something. I don't know exactly. But like, people discover new tricks about games that are like 10 years old. I can't wait to see where this game ends up. I mean, at this rate, it's going to be what, like a 10-second speed run?
Yeah.
That like it goes.
I mean, the wrong warps that were found in Ocarina of Time were found years after the game came out. It's incredible.
That's just madness. I don't think games are made that poorly anymore, though.
Yeah, I think a lot of that had to do with like saving memory and stuff like that. So the way that they wrote, that was very bizarre. Some of the stuff that you could do in that game.
Yeah, if you listeners are into like game programming and stuff, you should really look up the wrong warp in Ocarina of Time because it's kind of fascinating to learn about how it works and it's crazy.
And why it works. Yeah.
And yeah, it's like, how would anyone discover that if Goma dies at this position and then you do this and that? And it's like, what?
Like, yeah, fiddle with the menu and yeah, it's bizarre.
Great.
I've always considered trying to speedrun a little bit because there's like a very, very small RTS speedrunning community, and I feel like I could handle that because it's not really mechanically challenging. It's just using the correct strategies. Like, you don't need to have very high APM to speedrun StarCraft or probably most RTSs, but because I've done a little research and it seems like something I could probably do. I don't know, with enough practice. Yeah. It's kind of the idea, repetition and.
You're good at committing to one thing, too.
What is that supposed to mean, Brett?
I don't know.
I'm faithful in my marriage. I love my wife and dog.
Yes,
I'm committed to my job and don't shop around. That's actually not necessarily a great quality, but...
Well, no, like you... didn't you just, like, 100% New Vegas or something?
I didn't 100% it, but I did play the crap out of it.
Okay.
That was part of what I was talking about when I was playing it. Is one thing that I'm trying to overcome is this the completionist within myself, and just like not freak out over missing some small piece, especially in large adventure games, because I don't know, it just made the game not fun. And I did it to myself. I'm like, oh my god, what if I miss this? I have to restart, or I have to look up all these guides in order to make sure I don't miss anything. Especially in Fallout games, it's like impossible to do. So you have to look up these optimal routes that were never actually meant to be played. You're supposed to trade some stuff off, but no, there's a way you can do it, and then it's just not fun. Like, I just realized steadily, I'm like, I don't even have fun doing this. I just feel an urge to do it, but I don't enjoy it. So, trying to get away from that.
That's funny, because I'm like the polar opposite. I feel like I'm so jealous, because you really get your money's worth out of games without having to, like, get another game. And I have a problem where I just want to like buy a bunch of games and I never get around to any of them. Damn.
Yeah.
Wish I could beat a game.
I mean, I definitely overbuy games, but only if they're old. You know what I mean? Like, I'm cool spending just like Steam sale. I'm like, I'll buy the entire Warhammer 40K Dawn of War series with every single piece of DLC, and there's like 100 of them. You know, but it's on sale for $20, and guess what? I've like never opened the first game, so.
Yep. Yeah, I would do that all the time. You can't have a game in your Steam collection without having the entire collection of that game.
I mean, it goes on sale together. Why would you not, you know?
Yeah. Speaking of spending money on games.
Oh, lordy. Well, this is the hot topic. I think everybody's aware of this. And if you're not, and you're considering buying Star Wars Battlefront 2, you need to be in the know.
Yeah. Don't do it.
Brett, do you want to break down the situation for anyone who might be unaware? What is Battlefront 2? What's the situation?
Battlefront 2 is the next Star Wars-based game being developed by Black Dice?
Just Dice.
Is that what they're called? Dice? I don't know why it was Black Dice.
Black Dice. Just Dice.
I don't know. That's weird. By Dice EA, and EA's doing their microtransaction thing that they like to do. And what was it? Today they made some comment on Reddit, or yesterday, and I didn't really fully read it or understand the outrage, but I gather that they're pretty much doubling down on this whole, the way that you need to grind for heroes, like, extensively, and, you know, just kind of defending themselves on this whole pay-to-win bullshit. And it ended up becoming the most downvoted comment ever on Reddit.
By a huge margin, too.
Yeah, like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people have downvoted this. Maybe millions by now. I don't really know. But, yeah, so I guess in response, they ended up decreasing the currency required for hero unlocks, like Luke and etc., by 75%. But then somebody also found out that they reduced the amount of currency earned in the campaign by 75%.
Well, I think we need to contextualize what it was originally and what they were trying to do, what the backlash was. So it all started with the beta. It started all the way back when the game was announced, when they said, you know, like, we heard you, we'll introduce all the different eras, we'll introduce a campaign, we're going to do, you know, no paid DLCs. So that was the basis, and everyone's like, wow, they're actually being communicative. You know, it seems too good to be true. And then what ended up happening was they came out with the beta, and sure enough, without ever coordinating communication on this, there were blatant microtransactions, and not cosmetic, which I think would be fine. It was things that actually affected how well you could play, like your gun overheats half as fast, and they're actually that effective. It wasn't like minor, like 5% boost. They were actually really significant, and there was a big backlash over it being like blatantly pay to win. So there was backlash over that. Then EA said, you know what? Okay, so rather than it being blatantly pay to win, everything is based on, you still have to buy it with credits. So you pay to unlock something, and then you still have to grind out credits to use it, which honestly is the worst of both worlds. If you're going to have microtransactions, then if you're paying money, you should get that content, period. You shouldn't have to then grind it out. So someone found out that you would pay, it was like $30 or $40, maybe more, to play as Darth Vader, but then it would take 40 hours worth of gameplay time, approximately, to grind the amount of credits in order to unlock him, even though you had paid for him.
Wow.
So then that was a huge new uproar, and that's what caused the current ruckus. So then what happened beyond that was, then EA said, okay, fine, we're gonna reduce the credit costs for these things by 75%, meaning that you'd only have to play for about 10 hours to unlock Darth Vader, even though you already paid for him, which again is still ridiculous. If you're gonna do the pay-to-win microtransactions, then flip and give it to the people, period. So anyway, and as you just said, Brett, the follow-up is then someone did the analysis and said, oh, but actually you earn credits 75% slower, so it just balances out anyway. So that's where we are today. So it's just been like problem after problem after problem. And so it's not overblown. People are like, it's obviously, you know, we've made fun of gamers who go on and give 0s out of 10s, yada, yada. I don't think that means this game deserves 0 out of 10, but I do think that means that if you feel that this is ethically poor of them, business-wise, you should not buy the game. Again, it doesn't mean it should reflect on the playability of the game, but you should not buy it if you think that there's something wrong with that business model.
Yeah, and I'm sure, you know, just speak with your wallet. Watch a Let's Play of it if you really want to know the story, because it's just like pathetic that, and I'm trying to find a quote right now that literally it happened today, just from the CFO of EA. Basically just like saying that he had wished that he put microtransactions in Battlefield 4 because of how like well they work for them, and it's just so tone deaf to like the current like what is going on, and it's just sad, you know. We're just circling back around, but like it really sucks that this is what's boosting up this industry so much and causing this big boom in financial like prosperity in the gaming industry.
I think part of the issue is the fact that it's Star Wars and they feel that they can get away with it. It has enough exposure that no matter how much bad press they get, you know, all press is, you know, bad press is still press. But then on top of that, you know, how many people will still, it's still going to be the top selling holiday game. And
hopefully not.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully not. Maybe we'll actually see a difference made, but I'm already sort of seeing it's going to be it's going to be one of the top selling holiday games, but maybe not. But then on top of that, they just know that it's Star Wars, and they can, this is like their testing ground. They're like, what else would we do it with if not Star Wars?
Yeah.
So let's do it with Star Wars and see how it goes. Because, like, honestly, the previous state of microtransactions was not that egregious, especially if it only pertained to cosmetics. The problem is now it's moving into blatant gameplay mechanics, and then they also added a time-based mechanic with the credits, such that if you don't buy the game on launch, you're going to be behind no matter what.
Yep.
So, I don't know. There's many things. There's many problems with it.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, what can gamers do? Like, what can the industry do as a whole? Like, do you think it would really help if game reviewers were giving it a bad review, even though maybe it's not a bad game?
I think that would deter people in the future from buying it. You know, it's like 6 months later. Oh, it's on sale. Should I get it? Oh, it has a 4 out of 10, so I'm not going to get it.
Yeah. I mean, look at, like, there's always, like, Steam reviews and Metacritic, like, user reviews, and I just don't know if those have a big impact. Especially on a game that's, like, so well known. Because, you know, people, especially if they know the dealings of the industry, if they see, like, all this controversy, they might be like, well, I just want to know if it's a good game. So I'm going to figure that out on my own if everybody's just down on it was. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, what kind of movement can we have to make it so this shit stops?
Right.
It's, like, horrible.
Well, that's why I think it's definitely vote with your wallet. And part of the issue is people are like, well, you know what? I kind of just want to play the campaign, so I'll just get it. And frankly, if you don't have the self-control to just be like, you know what, I guess this is just a game I can't play, then you're not allowed, you can't be outraged. You're a hypocrite if you're outraged about this. Like, and outrage is a strong word. I'm not outraged about it, but I am unhappy because I don't want it to set a trend for every game moving forward. And because of that, I will not buy this game. I'm not trying to make a bold statement, but if enough people do that, then it will show EA, or it'll show whoever made this decision. It'll say, we've drawn the line. Don't do this next time. Please, we welcome you to continue making games. Don't send flippin' death threats to developers, you crazy, stupid idiots.
I know.
But next time, we have told you that this is where we draw the line, and you cannot make extra money by doing this. Because if they see that, then they will do it anyway, no matter how much bad press they get. Because they still know there's people with enough money who will pay for this. I don't know. It's a shame.
And I don't know. I feel like you just have to be stupid to, like, blame the people that are developing the game on the game's issues. I mean, it's the financial structure of the game. It's not. They're probably being challenged by the executives to say, hey, listen, so we're definitely going to have microtransactions, and we need people to spend a lot of money on them. What would get them spending money? Well, maybe making them even better in multiplayer by just spending a few bucks instead of spending time playing it.
So the
that
question
would definitely get a bunch of people just buying it. Like, the people that have just stupid amounts of money, they're going to buy it immediately. Like, why not?
Well, the question is, would you rather have a more reasonable gameplay experience without the semi-pay-to-win aspect, or almost entirely pay-to-win aspect, or would you rather pay for DLC? And frankly, I would rather pay for DLC, but they removed paid DLC, and this is like the price you pay. And that's honestly the only real defense they need, is like, you know what? You don't have to pay for DLC, so you either pay for this stuff, or don't buy the game. Like, that's kind of what it comes down to, honestly. You're going to pay $60 for a season pass, or you pay $60 to buff your character up a little bit when you purchase the game. You get the starter pack and whatever.
I know. It's just funny to think of, like, the walks of life that, like, the monetization of games have had, because, you know, normally when things are struggling, they just, like, increase the price, right? If they're not making enough money off of it, they'll just increase the price. But games have been $60 for I don't know how long.
Yep.
And they just keep introducing all this garbage. Like, online passes were pretty much terrible, which would, I don't know if you even were gaming that much back then, or because I don't think PC
I remember
games got too much of the online passes.
No, but I know what you're referring to. Yeah,
you get a little slip card with your game, and you have to sorry, I'm just walking through my house, don't mind me. It's a little echoey. you know, you'd buy a used game and it wouldn't have the slip in it with the code to play online, and so you wouldn't be able to access literally half of the game because you paid $10 less. That was pretty offensive. And then it kind of turned into like DLC funding the games, so online wasn't required anymore. And that was, I don't know. I think it's fine to have DLC and deleted content for more money and whatever, but all this gambling stuff, I mean, it's just not a good look.
Yeah.
I feel like.
I imagine one thing I've been curious about is the $60 price point we've talked about before, and the idea is like games continue to cost more and more money to make, especially in terms of human resources and time. Like it just takes more time and more people, so therefore it costs more, and yet we're still paying $60 a game. So how do they make up the costs? Microtransactions, right? So I wonder what came first, the realization that they couldn't make games cost more than $60 because people would stop buying them because it was too expensive, or the discovery of how effective microtransactions could be. Like, I wonder which came first. Like, which one led to the other?
I think they should start making it more apparent how much people are spending on games. I bet that would help a lot.
Yeah.
Because it really doesn't feel bad to spend like $3 or $4 like twice a week, you know? But if you spend $3 or $4 twice a week on Call of Duty for 6 months, or for Battlefront, I should say, like, that's a lot of money. I spent a lot of money on Dota 2, knowingly, but I did. And it, like, adds up quick, and it doesn't feel that bad because you're just spending a tiny bit at a time. It's like, I don't know. I'm kind of curious, like, if we're gonna start seeing the repercussions of this, like, ruining people's lives. I mean, you don't really see a ton of editorials about it or anything. But you know, like back in the day with WoW and stuff, where you'd see these stories of children's lives just ruined from it. And
yeah, I feel like it would have happened already with mobile games. Like, mobile games have been doing this already. I think Battlefront 2 is basically it's a mobole game in a very pretty dress. It has mobile game business practices dressed up as a AAA, very polished first-person shooter title.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, how are they gonna tout that as a game as a service type thing, though? You know, it just seems like this pay-to-win model is very common in like the game as a service, where you basically don't pay anything, but you do end up paying for being competent or whatever in the game.
Yeah.
But it's like they forgot to take off the price tag. Like, you're not supposed to charge.
Right, exactly.
If you're just charging me even more money, it's like, ugh.
It should have just been free to play from the get-go if they wanted to be this egregious with it. Like, they played their hand too heavily. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they probably could have done this if the game was free to play as well. And then they're like, look at all these microtransactions. I bet they honestly could have gotten away with it.
Probably.
I don't know. But again, I definitely think, like, vote with your wallet. You don't really have two legs to stand on if you don't, if you still play it. Even if you just want to play the campaign or you just want to play with your friends, you know, like, consumers have more power than they have been made to think they do. I think that's the problem, is...
Yeah, it's...
Marketers don't make you think that you have the kind of power that you do by simply not buying something.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's just like there's that mentality too of like, well, if I don't buy it, but everybody else is going to buy it, like, why would I do that?
Yeah,
like,
but that's a marketing tactic.
I'm just a drop in the funnel, right?
Yeah, that's the marketing tactic, though, is to make you think that that is the case. I don't know. I think
it's evil. It's evil. Video games are evil now.
They're evil. There's still so many great indie developers out there, you know, like there is no business team. It's just a team of devs. They make the game, they put it on Greenlight, and it goes. That's magical. That is still magic.
Yep. What can you say?
What can you say, you know?
I don't know. I'm pretty disappointed too, because I was kind of excited to play that game.
Yep.
Like a full story in that Battlefront engine. Looked pretty good. Sounded pretty good, at least. I don't know if I've really watched anything, but...
Well, so much of it is the feeling of like you're missing out, and that's why I was trying to put it into context. Like, if I don't play Battlefront 2, I don't know, what's the worst that... I mean, the best that can happen is I've saved $60 and it doesn't turn out to be a great game. But then, if I'm not even willing to buy Super Mario Odyssey, Like, there's no way I could justify still getting Battlefront 2 after all the complaints, you know?
Yep. Yeah, maybe get it off of some cheap key reseller or something.
Yeah, you could do that. I mean, the main concern, too, is if you don't buy it at launch, you're going to be behind because so much of it is time-based grinding, which they did in response to the microtransactions, which was just bizarre. They just one evil with another. It's just very silly.
That's the worst.
I don't know, man.
It's like depressing to watch, kind of. Because, you know, I've never really been exactly like an opponent of microtransactions.
Yeah,
like,
me neither.
I think it's great that they boost up the economy of games so well, and when it's done right. But I don't know. I mean, the reaction on, like, at least just Reddit. I've really only been browsing Reddit today. I haven't had much time for whatever other websites there are. But it's pretty much everywhere on Reddit, so that kind of bodes well for me. Or gives me a good impression that, like, the word is
Oh, yeah.
It gives me a good impression the word is spreading quickly and people are maybe actually going to vote with their wallet. But I've been seeing people talking about voting with their wallet since I was fucking like 15 years old.
I know, and they don't do it.
I fucking doubt it. So we'll see. Well, that's what makes me worried, because it's like, where does the industry stop? Like, what's going to happen next? I mean, this is horrible. So
I think it's also, you know, 400 and however many downvotes on Reddit, I'm sure a decent chunk of that are bots, right? So my question is, though, like, even with that amount of people claiming they're not going to buy the game, even though, number one, a percentage of those people probably aren't real people, and once it was like, oh, it's the most downvoted comment on Reddit, I'm sure there were people that were downvote botting it just to, like, add to the number. And then also there's a percentage of those people that will probably still buy the game. So it makes me wonder that even though there's a huge public outcry against it, how it will still perform, because this is going to be the real example. Like, what if it still sells and is just a huge knockout? Like, it's just depressing, because, like, even though there was a big media movement, there's still going to be parents buying this for their kids because their kids like Star Wars, right? And you can't blame them, they just don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably still going to sell 1 million copies a day it comes out. And wasn't there some rhetoric that came out not very long ago from EA that, like, or from some ex-EA employee saying, like, it's literally just sales numbers, they do not care about customer reception? Like,
right. I mean, that's EA's job. As the publisher, they technically shouldn't. I'd be more concerned if they didn't do that as, like, an actual company. But the problem is just I'm just almost mad that they discovered something that they can exploit so well. You know what I mean? Because if it shows that they make more money doing this, I can't really argue with it. From their perspective, they should do that, but I hate it. I hate it so much.
It's just kind of gross.
Yeah.
Their way of going about it. And I mean, I feel like a lot of video game consumers are, like, young kids, so
right.
It's just too bad. All those youngins.
Well, hey, StarCraft 2 is going free-to-play. It actually went free-to-play today.
Yeah, that's really cool. So you just go and get it for free, or is there some sort of new way to play it?
No, it's just free. You just end the BattleNet launcher. It's like Heroes of the Storm. You just play it.
Can you, like, unlock the expansions, or do you pay for those still?
So the expansions only matter in terms of the campaign now. So just multiplayer, there used to be tiers of multiplayer where, like, there was a Wings of Liberty multiplayer, there was a Heart of the Swarm multiplayer, and they were, like, frozen in time when those expansions ended. They just ditched that and said Legacy of the Void multiplayer is just our multiplayer now, period, and it's free. And if you want to play, and Wings of Liberty, the campaign is free. If you already owned it, you get Heart of the Swarm for free. And Legacy of the Void, if you want to play the campaign, you still have to pay for it. So the campaigns have basically become microtransactions. There are skins that they've added as microtransactions, announcers, stuff like that. But, like, just the multiplayer straight up is free to play.
That's great.
Yeah.
What's your take on it? I mean, it just kind of seems pretty harmless and awesome. So
I think the business practice of it is fine. I'm sure there's somebody who bought the whole thing 3 months ago that's like, oh, you know, I want my money back. You know, go ahead and ask Blizzard for a refund. If you've been a loyal customer, it's possible they'll just accommodate for you. I don't know. But, you know, to that person, I don't really have an answer. But I think it's great just getting more exposure to the game. It'll get more people in there, you know, even if it's just to the co-op mode. And I don't know, and they're still making balance patches, and this most recent one removes one of the most hated units, the Mothership Core. So I actually may try getting back into multiplayer myself. I haven't played it since Wings of Liberty, and the changes to Heart of the Swarm just made me kind of less intrigued. And actually, if you don't mind, I'd like to take a moment to kind of just talk about the multiplayer situation in StarCraft 2 and why it's...
Oh, yeah. Why is it what? Is it good? Is it bad?
Well, no, I mean, maybe you could comment on this when you tried it, but the multiplayer StarCraft 2, it has a bad reputation for... I mean, in short, it's too hard. It's too taxing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of empty clicks. So one of the issues that I found is, again, there's just like too many empty clicks. You're just clicking stuff for the sake of clicking it so that you can say that the game has a high skill ceiling. Like, frankly, I don't care. I'm a casual player. I don't care that it has a high skill ceiling. That's good for esports, but frankly, StarCraft 2, it's got its own little niche for esports. It doesn't really need to compete with anything anymore. It's the only RTS. And it's not like it's going to get close to MOBAs at this point. Maybe one day. Probably not. Definitely not. I don't know. That's like way too optimistic. But anyway, the point is, I think Blizzard has finally realized with this latest balance patch 2, they've been trying to figure out ways to best implement how to remove these stupid extra clicks that I've always felt are just worthless. Like, for example, a lot of spellcasters, they don't have an auto attack. As a casual player, and again, purists always say, well, like, you just need to get better at the game. That's just extremely stupid from a game design perspective. That's great for someone to hold that opinion, but for if I was designing a game, that's the dumbest thing to take into account. Anyway, the idea is, you have spellcasters, if you hit F2 and select your whole army and you push A and then click, all of your units move in a direction and they will attack everything in the way. Most spellcasting units do not have an attack, so they will just walk. So they'll walk ahead of the rest of your army while they start fighting something and just wander into the enemy and die.
Wow.
Right, so it's like you need to hotkey those units and you need to use extra clicks, which I personally think are empty clicks, but something, it's like, oh, you got to keep the skill ceiling high, right? And what that does is it just makes the game more stressful, because you can't just focus on this engagement and have fun. And that's kind of the bottom line. You can't have fun because you're so focused on, like, oh my god, my spellcasters are gonna die because I'm letting them. I made this army. I enjoyed building it, but I can't go fight someone with it. I have to be like super concerned about all these little things. I have to inject larva. I need to use chrono boost. I need to drop mules. All this stuff that just it adds the skill ceiling, but in an extremely worthless way, in my opinion. Anyway, Blizzard has started adding some auto attacks, like most recently, one of the quintessential spellcasters. They added an auto attack to it. So you can auto attack with them and still use their spells and not worry about them wandering out and dying because you don't have high enough APM or diligence to stop them from doing that. That's a huge step in my direction. I think a lot of people will gloss over that as a very minor patch change, but in my opinion, that small changes like that are what make the game that much more accessible. Because someone runs into an annoyance like that, they're playing the game for the first time and think, oh my god, my High Templar, why did they just die? I'll make some more of them. Oh my god, they just walk out there, what the hell? And then they don't play the game anymore because they're like, that's really stupid. Why is the game like that? Little do they know, ooh, it's because only good people can use those units, apparently. I don't know, it's like little things like that actually make a huge difference in my opinion. So I think if Blizzard continues to make changes like that and remove a lot of the things that remove the empty clicks that make the game seem more challenging than it needs to be, they have major potential to make a good comeback in terms of a player base. That's my rant.
Cool. And you think that's going to help pull you into those changes? Or
I would
just
play...
saying, you think it'll revitalize?
I think it'll revitalize the player base because it's free to play now. And if they, even though it's free to play, if they don't make the game more accessible, then those people that come in because it's free, they'll try it and they won't continue to play it. So I think they need to maintain that draw by making the game actually fun to play, not just... The game is rewarding when you win because it's hard. It's not rewarding because it's fun, and they need to balance those two things better. And I think they're on the path to do that, which I think will... It would make me want to try multiplayer again, at least. This balance patch, I'll give it a shot. It seems a little more casual friendly. But you just can't play the multiplayer casually, I don't think. That's just kind of lame.
Now, for someone like me who says, man, that game is old. and I'm probably never gonna pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are they making steps to like appeal to that type of player? I mean, they must be, obviously. I mean, the casual, like, whatever, but I mean, the game is kind of old now. Like, are they gonna make a third one, or are they just planning to stick with? I know you said that Legacy of the Void is like their multiplayer now. Are they gonna stick with that, or what's next?
Well, I mean, the balance changes they make last year and then this year have actually been pretty substantial, like to the point where the multiplayer genre, I guess, of it is just completely changing. So, but I don't think they plan on making a new game or anything like that. At least right now. I think they just plan on supporting the current one. So, I mean, ultimately...
It's probably... I was just going to say it's probably way more cost-effective to test drive RTS stuff in their one that's been out for a while rather than just make a whole new one.
Yeah, I think so too. Ultimately, I think it's just... I hate to say this, but it is too little too late. In fact, I don't even think it's too little. I just think it's too late. But what they can do is maintain their player base, which is not insignificant for sure, and get some new people in and hopefully keep them with the free to play. And I mean, I'm not just because I like to play StarCraft. Like, I don't care what the viewer base is. I don't care what the player base is, as long as it's easy to find a match. And sometimes if it's a game's time and it's not being supported properly, it's a game's time to just slowly be deprecated. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think it's that time for StarCraft, but I mean, when it is, there's no point in, mindlessly trying to defend a game, I suppose. I don't know. But it's not there yet, I don't think.
It's nice to hear that they're kind of putting the same amount of care that people kind of look for in their Blizzard games, though. They're kind of known for just caring about the games that they make, so I don't know. It kind of felt like StarCraft was put to the wayside for a little while.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Diablo is kind of the ugly duckling of Blizzard now, I think.
Yeah, I've noticed. I was just going to say that. It seems like Diablo's kind of on the back burner and nothing's really happening there, so I'm sure they're working on a new one, right? I mean,
I imagine. Well, I mean, the thing is, how do you make Diablo fit into the games as a service model like Overwatch, Heroes, even StarCraft now? I think StarCraft is supported more now because they can monetize it better.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough too, because like the whole good loot thing is kind of Diablo's thing, and the minute you start monetizing that, people will not be happy.
Well, they tried with the auction house, and it bombed.
Yeah, right, yeah. Like, that's the game, is getting the best thing ever.
Yeah.
And you can't monetize that. People will just fucking lose their minds, like they did. So, oof.
What do you think of the World of Warcraft, the new expansion, then also the announcement of Classic? Or do you care at all about something like that?
I didn't even know that there was a new expansion, and the Classic seems like that's a good thing that's happening. Are they working? I literally did not pay much attention at all to BlizzCon. Usually I got my boys to back me up with the knowledge.
Keith isn't here. You gotta
pull my own weight. No, I have to ask, like, what's the involvement with the team that was formerly working on that expansion, or the legacy server?
The Nostalrius, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Was there any mention or anything like?
I don't know. I don't know if Blizzard actually said outright if Nostalrius, like the Nostalrius crew, was involved in this, but they had mentioned when they shut down Nostalrius, they're like, all right, we're gonna talk to their team to see what we can learn. But I don't know if they were brought on in any fashion to, as consultants or something. I have no idea. That would be intriguing to know.
Yeah, right. I know. It seems like people are liking it though. The guy at Soda Poppin's been streaming his level 60 playthrough for a while now.
I think all the people that really, really want vanilla WoW were probably already playing it on private servers, and everybody else just thinks they want it, and then they're gonna play it and be like, "What the fuck was this?"
Yeah, that's definitely what I would be like. Because when you play some of those early missions for like the first classes that they had in the base game, and they're in like those really old areas that were developed when the game first came out, you're like, wow. It's pretty jarring, the difference between like...
Yeah.
I don't even know the name of the area, but the hilly ass area where I think you start as like a Tauren or
Thousand
something.
Needles? I think is probably what you're thinking of.
Is it just like a bajillion weird hills?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. That place looks really dated in this day and age.
I think it's kind of suffers from the same problem like I was talking about with StarCraft. Is the original WoW was riddled with a lot of mindless, worthless time sinks that really did not make you feel accomplished for doing, but you had to do it if you wanted to progress. And they've slowly removed those, and especially with Warlords of Draenor, the pendulum swung way too far in the other direction. And then Legion, they've made a return to form, and I think a lot of people think that Legion has been really well received, or at least to me it seems like it has been. So, but there's still a cry for vanilla WoW. I mean, I played during Burning Crusade and I liked it, but the time commitment was just way too high. So, I wonder what they're gonna do, because they didn't say many, they didn't give many details. So they didn't say like this will literally be exactly classic as it was, but maybe it will be sort of like classic, but with some quality of life improvements. That's what I'm expecting.
Right. Yeah, see, it's cool though. So, did you enjoy BlizzCon as a whole? You think it was like a good showing?
Yeah, I thought so. I mean, I didn't really watch it. I just read up on the news of it.
Yeah.
So it seemed pretty good. I mean, it was mixed in there with, you know, Odyssey was just released, Wolfenstein 2 was just released. All the news about Battlefront 2 was starting to break then. So it's been like a crazy, you know, beginning of Q4 here in 2017 with games. 2017 game-wise has really been popping, I think.
For sure. I mean, Zelda and Mario. You got a new Zelda and a new Mario.
And they were both really good, too.
Pretty crazy, yeah. And they're kind of like groundbreakingly good for their respective series, so.
It wasn't like we got Skyward Sword or anything.
Yeah. What a dark time in our timelines, huh? It's like, because you know, in these days, it's like, all right, well, Nintendo's still here, and they're still making like good ass games. But there was a time in our timelines, man, where things weren't so pretty for Nintendo. But
oh, poor Nintendo. Yeah. It's still, man, their business practices make no sense to me. Like, their entire social network and online presence is just baffles me. It just baffles me. It's not even dated. It just makes no sense. It belongs nowhere in time.
Yeah, no, it's totally fucking weird, Nintendo as a whole. Like, I just don't really understand how they operate as a game company in this day and age. And like, I feel like they're doing better than everybody else right now because of the Switch. I mean, at least this year. I mean, they've got a console that's sold I don't know how many millions. Like, that kind of just puts them ahead of the edge. But, yeah, you're right. They just operate so differently, and I don't get it. They're kind of like the old man of the internet.
I mean, I think it's a Japanese culture company type thing, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just legitimately think that's what it is, where Japanese companies are less likely to follow trends, market trends. Again, sweeping statement, don't take me super literally here, but I think that this is semi-common knowledge about business in Japan, is they don't typically follow market trends. They typically do what they want to do, and sometimes it's lightning in a bottle, and sometimes it's the Wii U.
Yeah. Yep. What a shame, too, because I liked the Wii U a lot. Thought it had a lot of good games.
Yeah. I think it tried to capture too much of what the Wii was, because the Wii was such a smashing, incredible success that they were probably just like, let's just make the same thing without really improving the hardware that much.
Yep.
Oh, well. I feel like we beat Nintendo to death. We do.
I know we've been through the motions with Nintendo for sure.
You know what I've been wanting to play, but again, it's like $60 if I can't bring myself to buy a Switch and play Odyssey. I can't spend $60 plus a season pass on Wolfenstein. But I did want to get Wolfenstein, but it's more that apparently there were some technical issues with it on launch, so I've been waiting for some patch. It may have happened already, I don't know, but
I didn't know that. That sucks.
some people were saying that there were crashes and stuttering and stuff, so I figured I would just wait and get a follow-up. At the same time, there was like a bizarre controversy that I still don't fully understand about it, so it's possible that that had an effect on people rating it a certain way, but I don't know, and I didn't take the time to find out, so.
I'm pretty sure it's because they went political, because they said that they wanted to kill Nazis.
I didn't realize that was political.
Yeah, most normal people wouldn't, but, you know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know, I get it.
You know. But, yeah. You know, you're not gonna play another game for a long time unless you get a Switch, dude, if that's gonna be your excuse.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, the Switch it's the cost of the console plus, it's the cost of the console plus the game, as opposed to just the game.
It sounds like you gotta figure out some way to get the game for free or something, or I don't know, look for deals. I'm sure in the spring there will be some deals with the Switch. It's not going to be a holiday deal system, I don't think.
Maybe I'll ask for it for my, not birthday, for Christmas.
Ask Santa.
I'll ask Santa for it.
Delete. You got an anecdote for me? Make a fool of myself?
No, but I have a question for you as a longtime dog owner.
Okay.
Coco was so great when we got her. I mean, she's great. Don't get me wrong. But she wasn't really afraid of much. And now suddenly she's just afraid of everything. And she'll like stop and just freeze when we're outside. And she doesn't seem scared. She just stops and refuses to move. Like she's just super overcome by all the inputs happening outside. But when we got her for the first month, no problems.
Yeah. I mean, you just gotta remember that a dog wears their heart on their sleeve, even if they're not wearing a shirt. You know, they got nothing to hide. They don't know how to hide anything. So maybe she's just nervous in general. Like, she was an adopted dog, right? Or like a rescue, or?
She's a rescue. So
she's a little older.
That's the problem. She's an adult. I suspect she grew up not in the middle of a big city. So she goes outside, definitely. She's like, oh my god, what the heck is happening here? It was just weird that she was fine when we took her home for the first month. So it's weird. Like, I understand dogs' personalities come out more the longer you have them, after you adopt them especially, but why wasn't she just not afraid from the beginning? It's just strange to me. I don't know.
Yeah, dogs are weird. I don't know. Maybe something like set her off one day and now she's permanently scared for the rest of her life. Like, it's just weird.
Yeah, I guess that can happen, yeah.
Like, I don't know. My dog has really bad anxiety when it comes to like loud beeping noises, and like she's just been freaking out lately. I don't know why. I think she might just have heard something, or there's some sort of frequency happening, but it's like only noises. Everything else she's pretty cool about, but if she hears like a terrible noise, she'll just start like shaking. Like, I don't know what your dog's like. What happens when she gets scared? She just kind of like, she just
stops. Her ears are down. She just stops and
get her tail on her between her legs.
No, that's the thing. Her tail's normal. Like, it's not down, but it's not wagging. It's just hanging there, or it might even be up. Her ears are down, and she just kind of looks around. Like, she's not shaking. She just is panting a little bit, and she just kind of looks around, like she's sort of dumbfounded by everything. And then, but she digs her heels in. She won't move unless you go back the other way. So it's like she's afraid, but she doesn't look afraid. I don't know.
I wouldn't Google anything.
Yeah, who knows? I do have a funny story, though.
What's that?
I was outside with her the other day, and I was jogging with her, and that's the other problem, is she gets so distracted outside, and we're jogging, we're like, gotta get this dog energy, or get her exercise. We're jogging, and then she just darts in front of me because she wants to sniff something, and I trip over her.
Yep.
Stupid bitch.
Nice.
Yeah, I know. Got it, right? I don't know. You have an anecdote, Brett?
No. Being a dog owner. No, not really. Life's been good.
William Sexton asks, hey, Jay, any swag? Yeah, you know, you got to check out the J store. I hope you've been saving your J-Bucks. We got sweatshirts going on sale, and they say J4, the number 4, life, L-Y-F-E. Those are 6,000 J-Bucks. If you've been watching for a while, you've probably accrued more than enough to get a couple dozen of those shirts. So I'd a couple dozen, man. 6,000 J-Bucks. That's a steal. Yeah, exactly. You'll never have to do laundry again. If you've been watching the podcast since day one, you could probably get enough of these sweatshirts that say J for life on them to wear once a day until you die. You wouldn't even have to wash ever.
Hell yeah.
Just think about it. Think of the possibilities. Oh, I have something to round up about, is the contest that we're doing, that we're hosting.
Oh, we're doing a contest. Great.
Well, not you. I'm hosting through my channel. It's called Mapcraft, where we just said make a map, really any map of single-player variety, and we'll play it. We'll judge them, and there'll be a winner. But really, the prizes aren't really prizes. They're just kind of like, here, participate, and here's like a faux prize. It's all a facade just to get people to make stuff kind of thing. But maybe some people don't realize that, and then they'll do it anyway because they think, oh, it's a prize. I don't know. Anyway, the veil has been lifted. That's the whole idea behind it. And we got 19 submissions. It's awesome.
Ooh, that's great.
It's exciting.
So there's a prize?
Yeah, it's just like you get StarCraft Remastered, which is $15.
Damn.
Or $15 of WoW game time, you know, whatever your choice is.
Yeah, so let's say I win it. Am I able to sell StarCraft Remastered?
You could, yeah. You get that $15.
Nice.
The way I looked at it when I was planning it, I'm like, we need to make it so that this prize is... the contest would be the same whether it was there or not there. But there needs to be a prize to be considered a contest.
That's a very fitting prize for the lucky winner. Or not so lucky, the well-earned winner.
Indeed.
That's cool that you got so many submissions, though.
I know. I was thinking, like, I'm like, I hope we get like 4. I honestly was like, I hope we get 4 or 5 of them, and we got a ton. It's awesome.
Right. That's great.
And they've all been great. I've played 10 of them so far, and they've all been fantastic.
Wow. Gonna be tough to choose.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Oh, I'm glad to hear it.
I'm glad too.
Engaging the audience. Good stuff. Good stuff there, Jayborino. Sorry, I forgot that was a meme.
Is it?
Good stuff?
What's good stuff?
I don't know. They say it over and over in your Discord, man. It's going to probably happen even worse now, so...
I know. I just ignore it. I just ignore memes that I... Not really for any reason. Like, I don't think it's stupid. I just ignore them and see. I'm like, how long is this going to last? And then... I mean, that one's pretty much already run its course. I think someone referred to it as an old meme today, and it's only been a week. So... That's good stuff.
Yeah, you said it, guys. Jayborino said it. Good stuff. All right.
What a time to be alive. That's been about an hour. Thanks, everyone, for joining us this week. It's the Damage for Second. It's
signing out.
7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Tuesdays. Come and join us.
Boop.
Signing out.
Yep.